But I would say, as a lifelong lover of horror, I've always wanted to put Black folks at the center of the kinds of stories that we never were at the center of when I was a kid. I grew up loving The
Yeah,
Shining. I grew up loving The Exorcist. I grew up loving Poltergeist. These movies were like hugely important to me. But where were we in those movies? We were never in them.
yeah,
Oh, I think we're in a time now, thanks to Jordan Peele, though, for breaking down that door. But now we're in a time where I think we need lots and lots and lots of folks to come into the playground and start telling their stories. So those kinds of
yeah,
comparisons aren't made, you know?
yeah. One thing I really felt after watching is that I've never seen racism so scary, like in a way, like it made the reality of redlining and blacks moving into white, it just made it so horrific in a way that we all kind of felt and everything else, but to see and think about a black family moving into a all white neighborhood and thinking about how that it was just so tangible to me. How after creating it, but seeing the performances, how pleased were you to see all these great actors put in these great performances in this?
It's a dream come true, frankly. I mean, as a writer, you have your sort of vision for what you think is the best version of that thing. And then the actors come in and you're like, whoops. Like I was so wrong. I was thinking too small, because then Deborah comes in and she just like nails it. I mean, Deborah, she occupies almost every frame of this entire 10 hours, which is like an endurance test. It's a feat of like athleticism to be able to be that emotionally available for 9 hours of a show. Ditto Ashley, who killed it. Shahadi, who I think has a really beautiful ability with no words to just basically break your heart just with a look. And then you've got Little Melody, who is a firecracker and just like she's too grown for her own age, or her own good. And then Alison Pill. I don't want to forget Alison Pill, who just
Yeah,
destroys Betty. So yeah, it was a
yeah,
dream casting.
yeah. What was your research like to I mean, I heard about, I heard loosely that, oh, Compton used to be white and it became black. And like, I of course wasn't here. I mean, I've only been in LA for 17 years. I don't remember that era. Um, how did you do, did you have to do specific research, or did you just take the theme of it and create this on your own, or?
I mean, I read, it started with just a ton of books and immersing myself in the history of the country first, and then the history of what Black folks experienced when they moved to the cities of the West and the North and the East. I knew a lot. I mean, I love history. So I knew a lot about the South. And I think we all know a lot about the Southern experience, but not so much about the fact that when Black folks moved West, they experienced much of the same hatred, paranoia, rage, and terror that they were trying to leave behind. That was very eye-opening for me. I didn't really realize the terror tactics, very specific terror tactics that were used on families to push them out of what had formerly been only white neighborhoods. That was fascinating. And then Compton was like a major light bulb. Once I dug in on the lore of Los Angeles and realized here's this city that is iconically, I think, in the public imagination, Black. We think of it pop culturally, but to know that like 60 or 70 years ago, not only was that not true, but that it was lily white, and that those folks were like super virulently trying to keep Black folks out. That was the major light bulb that I knew the story had found its home. Yeah.
Well, I really feel like this is a work of art, man. I was so impressed when I went into it with no expectations, and I mean, as soon as I got into it, I was like, "Yo, this is amazing! This is amazing work! I can't wait to see, all of the rest of the season. I'm glad y'all got a 2-season order, and I'm looking forward to all of it. So, thanks for opening our eyes and to them and
Yeah.
showing us like something that we need to recognize about the history of the great migration of blacks across the country. Keep making great projects, man. We'll keep on looking forward